Holy crap, that's such a hit.
So they released their top 10 offenses. Colorado's number 8.
This moment in sports history will be remembered as one of the better fights, man. Like,
Put the cherry on top, they played Austria today. Guess the score of that game? 32-25 to not medal for bronze.
Hello and welcome to Bros in the Bleachers Podcast, episode 18. And just want to say thank you for everybody watching Real. We have a famous celebrity, Jake, crushed it on his MLB jersey takes. Absolutely knocked it out of the park.
hey, I am happy to be back for our Peyton Manning episode, baby. Episode 18. Let's rip it. The bros are back in the bleachers. Let's get it.
Hell yeah. And shout out to the 13 new subscribers we got to the show. Welcome to the Bleachers. We officially have our 53-man roster and more. So now we got a practice squad.
Let's go, baby.
Oh yeah, we can feel the team.
Ooh, yeah, baby. So yeah, pumped about that. Make sure to like this video right now if you're new, or if not new, support us. Go on Spotify, TikTok, follow us all there. You know the deal. And let's get right into it. College football. Super big games, pandemonium, biggest game of the year so far. I'll start us off. We had Oregon, Ohio State, top 3 matchup in college football. What did you guys think?
It lived up to the hype of this being the big week, man. We had this as like the crown jewel of the week, and we'll jump into it. But man, everything lived up to the hype. Josh, what do you think? We got the Ohio sign in the background. I feel like it's only right for you to lead us off on this game.
I mean, it's still lit. It's still lit for baseball. But on the football side, it was a great game. But it was still a bit of a head scratcher there at the back end for decision making. Certainly on the quarterback side. Certainly, we're still ticking away at is what's his name? Ryan Howard. What is?
Ryan Day.
Oh, Ryan
Yeah,
Day
Ryan
and
Day.
Will Howard.
But yeah, they totally was same person in my brain right now. If he still can win those big games, because he struggled in those Michigan games, he struggled in some of those bowl games, and yeah, that's something that like you got to keep an eye on, especially with an expanding field, because there's going to be a lot of big games coming up.
Yeah, no, this was an absolute epic game. There was nobody had more bigger of an 8-point lead during the whole game. It was tit for tat. Scoring had to be over. It was 63-point total. So, and just Will Howard not sliding in time.
Will Howard, what happened?
Oh yeah.
It's again, I feel like every time that one of these guys has a bad game, we can always refer back to our overrated list. And again, Will Howard is just kind of looking like, again, 6 seconds in, man, you got to know what to do with the ball. And again, it's that armchair quarterback moment for all of us where we get to say, damn it, I would have done better in that situation, but man, that just looked rough, and it seemed like the moment was a little bit too big for him. Can't blame him on the road in a really, really daunting environment in Autzen, but man, that is a hell of a game, and that was a great way to, continue that juice of how good this week was.
Oh yeah, you could see it. You could see it when he like took off running. You could see his brain like ticking through it when he was holding the ball for too long, and then he's like, "Oh crap, I need to run," and then he's like, "Oh, I need to slide," and then yeah, it was too late, but. Yeah, I don't understand how you're not prepared to you just got to get a field goal there, because especially you can win the game.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, but some very big moments happened through the game. I'll go breeze through them. We had Oregon scoring their first touchdown and then failing on the PAT, and the snapper or the holder fumbled it and probably threw the worst pass ever imagined.
Yep.
And then they almost got it returned for a touchdown, but thankfully not. And then they ended up failing on a 2-point conversion. And this became like a weird back and forth kind of score throughout the whole game. Tez Johnson, absolute insane, really good. Even Evan Stewart, insane as well. And the running back too, Jordan James. Oregon really did really well on offense. But yeah, defense wasn't too much to be had, and just Oregon pulled it out in what crazy game.
Yeah, I hadn't even checked that win probability graph on ESPN, but that's a fun one.
Right. And then
I
moving.
I
Go
I
ahead,
also
Josh.
I totally slept through the second and third quarter just a tiny bit, and I woke up just for the fiasco at the end, and I was like, what are they doing? Like I was like, am I still dreaming? So Yeah.
I, for one, slept through the fiasco at the end of the game and missed it and woke up at 3 a.m. But that's that's usually how it goes on West Coast games.
And
And
if anybody
then
was wondering where I was white knuckled to a chair watching it intensely. So there we go. All right. Now that you have the update on all of us, Drew, what was your next game?
I know another game that many of us watched and have some opinions on was South Carolina almost edging out Alabama on some late heroics, but Alabama somehow takes the win.
Absolutely insane game. Again, the fact that Alabama didn't just kind of railroad them, I feel like didn't surprise betters, but at the same time, I was expecting a
It was
Alabama
looking
just
that way.
elbow drop. It was for a little bit, but
14 to
dude,
0.
South Carolina fights. Like, I don't know what it is about this team, but like they have some, shaky losses. They lost to LSU. They lost to Ole Miss last week, the week prior. Obviously, this is a, relatively decent loss when it comes to on the road at Alabama. This South Carolina team arguably might have the hardest schedule in the country because the next couple of weeks they have to go to Oklahoma. Then they have Texas A&M at home. Then they go to have to go at Vandy, which no one prior to the season thought it was really going to be a game. But now it's like, oh shit, man.
Shout out
Hey, hey,
Diego,
Yeah.
another win.
don't give me another hand wave. We like it. And then home
Uh,
at Mizzou, which again, we all don't really love Mizzou, or at least me. Hi. But and then at Clemson. So they're gonna have a really hard game. But Jalen Milroe looks shaky, man. He had a couple of interceptions. There was one that was just absolutely ball hawked out of the end zone,
The
too.
safety he had too for intentional grounding. Another
Mhm.
yeah.
another big bonehead play.
And it's just one of those weeks where, anytime that one of these top Heisman guys makes any sort of mistake, it just, it starts to trend into one guy's direction. And, I feel like that's going to be a hot topic on the show, but we'll tease that for right now.
Absolutely. But yeah, South Carolina, what's his name? Lenora Sellers almost pulling out an crazy immaculate comeback, but then overthrows by a long shot and does not get the touchdown to then turn into interception to seal the game for Alabama.
Oh yeah, and it's a great little stock check on the Jalen Milroe Heisman stock, which certainly that's a lower weekend, and that bolsters a certain candidate that we all love.
All know and love for sure. One thing I'll highlight on the South Carolina game too is that again, with them just being a team that can kind of play on all sides of the ball, one of the guys that really stuck out for me, typically, I feel like we always give a lot of love to the offensive guys. We never really talk a lot about the defensive guys on the pod. So here you go. First one that we're locking in. Give me O'Donnell Fortune, the DB from South Carolina, the guy that actually ball hawked that Jalen Milroe interception. Not only did he have that interception, but he had 9 tackles, 8 of them solo as a DB. And in that kind of environment, when you're playing at Alabama, that is a damn good performance. So again, shout out
Oh
South
yeah.
Carolina. They almost had it. I will tell you, I was all the way on Alabama, but that's the way the news goes.
Absolutely. And then before I hand off the torch to Josh and his games, a cool stat that I've saw in every game, there was 3 screen passes thrown to the side to then be thrown for a touchdown. Those 3 teams, Clemson, Penn State, and BYU, which we'll get to later. We'll reserve those temper expectations or what you have not. Josh, what did you have?
I have obviously the Boise State game, which something I didn't know going into it was I guess Hawaii is the number one ranked defense in the Mountain West, which I totally believe
Oh,
they were flying around. But also it could be, I mean, part of that could be travel. Could be the away. I'm not sure how much of the away environment there is there. I think it's pretty much a destination for most people to try to get to. Uh, but yeah, the team was certainly looking like they were fighting through some mud. Genty was still excellent, but he didn't really have that breakaway speed but he still was just chugging along. And it didn't matter.
did
Uh,
this guy just be? Yeah, I didn't have the speed. Only had 212 all-purpose yards. The
oh
Insane,
game
yeah,
dude.
down game for him. Not too good.
no, yeah. He had the one. I mean, a lot of it probably just mostly was like the O line also kind of looked like they were fighting through some foot mud for themselves. There might have been some jet lag there.
Right.
But yeah, he was I mean he had a 7 yard average, which is lower than what he normally has, which is a first
Oh,
down.
damn. Only
So
7 yards of
um
carry.
he's setting them up, and everybody else had to step up in this win. No, it was I mean, it got hairy there a bit out of halftime, but ultimately they still just kind of continued moving the ball and just got the victory.
Ooh,
As someone that
yeah.
was on Boise State first half because I thought this would be a Jersey Railroad game because of all the Heisman stock,
Mhm.
I looked like a little bit of a fool. But it be like that. And again, I feel like when you have this kind of a guy and the fact that we've seen him getting pulled before the half, like I might just blindly do that in every game just because I feel like at the end of the day, the fact that he's going for 200 yards all purpose and he's getting 2 touchdowns, like the guy's a monster.
Oh
He's
yeah,
going to make an impact.
absolutely. Yeah, and that kind of leads us into what I had teed up here, which the other Heisman hopeful check-ins, which Genty currently leads ESPN bet, which is an insane sentence, plus 225, and then next is Dylan Gabriel at plus 375, which he had a good weekend. He was still a little slow in the beginning of that game, I would say, but ultimately finished strong, and obviously they got that win. And then after that's Cam Ward, who Miami had a bye week, right?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, stand pat. We wait. And then Milrow he's plus 1,000 now. So I mean he might not really a stock up, kind of a stock down weekend. But still he gets that Alabama glimmer on him. People enjoy Alabama quarterback.
SEC homers.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, I think it's going to come down to a lot of the voters is just going to be the strength of schedule and who these teams play, right? So I
Yeah.
think that if Genty ends up breaking this insane Barry Sanders record, I think there's no doubt, right? I think if Boise State makes the playoff, there's still no doubt, at least in my own opinion, right? But there's going to
Yeah.
be somebody that says, oh, well, even though they go 13-0, knock on wood or whatever it may be, it's not enough, right? And I don't know. I think that we haven't seen a guy have this great of stats, and even Derrick Henry stats from when he was winning the Heisman, and Marvin Ingram and like all these guys like that you can just like pull up, or I'm sorry, Mark Ingram, like all these guys at the end of the day, he's above 300 plus yards above them through 6 games with another 10 touchdowns more. Like the numbers just don't make sense here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and especially with it being kind of a down year for all the other quarterbacks, which there could be a resurgence late, and one of them being kind of great, but still, like, no, none of these quarterbacks have really strung together like a super impressive uh season. They've all had little falters here and there.
Spurts.
Hmm.
Yeah, none of the quarterbacks really want to take the torch and claim the Heisman for themselves at this current moment. But that leads us to Jock's Mac rundown. Lay down the Mac. Let's hear it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna fire it off here with fire it off pretty slow with Kent State. But they showed a little life here, but ultimately it was for naught because Ball State is a tier above them. I have here noted that it should be tier like TEAR, as it's just one less cry. Because they're still pretty bad. And that leads us right into the best of the best right here, which was the Buffalo Toledo game. And Buffalo, what have you? Capitalizing early on some Toledo turnovers. They won, heating up that MAC title race. Coming then after that is the Miami of Ohio game, which I know I talked a lot about Eastern Michigan maybe being kind of sleepy, but they were asleep at the game. So Miami has another tough matchup again next against Ohio University, who they then beat Central Michigan this week and are 2-0 in the conference. They might be the only undefeated 2-0 team. Oh no, Western Michigan is as well, but they beat Akron, who again another tier 2 team, right next to Ball State. Yeah, so that then there was a lot of games this week. We're going here a little fast. Take a deep breath. Northern Illinois, they rounded back into form. But next week they have a huge matchup against Toledo, who Toledo is certainly going to come into that game a little pissed off because, yeah, they faltered early and got shut out in that first half against Buffalo. And so, yeah, that'll definitely be a MAC C game.
I have a question for you. Who would you say is a tier 1 MAC team?
I would certainly say right now we definitely have Buffalo, Toledo, and Ohio, and we still have some yet to see from Western Michigan because they're 2-0 in the MAC, but I'm pretty sure that they've probably played some not great opponents. So there's still quite a bit of like finding out there. Yeah, because they lost to Marshall, who's a pretty good school, but that's a Sun Belt team. Yeah, they played Ball State.
Get out of here,
They,
Mac only.
they played Ball State and Akron. In Buffalo, they played Western Michigan. So here's where we're definitely going to see. We're going to get our tiers figured out here.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. And that is the Mac rundown with Josh. We go to Jake. Hand the torch to Jake. Jake, what games did you see this week?
Alrighty, folks. Well, my first game that I was really dialed into, and I really shouldn't say first game because we'll get into that in a different segment, but the main game that I was dialed in on wasn't our Arizona Wildcats. It was actually Arizona State versus Utah. And I feel like I had to tune in just simply because we kicked their ass last week. So it was time to just be able to see how the cookie crumbles. And ASU wins and Utah crumbles and Cam Rising's back. And I don't know what happened. Again, 27-19 loss in Tempe, which again, for a Utah team that's ranked and has already, looked shaky throughout the year, they really should not be in the top 25. I didn't even check the rankings this morning to see if they are. I imagine that there's probably the bias that they're still in. But frankly, Cam Rising lost that game for them. And I think it's because they're really trying to force the agenda of trying to get him back. He looked shaky. He was 16 of 37, 209 yards and 3 interceptions. He wasn't even the best Cam on the field. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad.
Is he the Aaron Rodgers of college football?
Dude.
Utah has fallen out of the ranking. I just looked.
There we go. Yeah, thank you. And it could be because of that performance last night, and now you've lost to both of the Arizona schools. So elbow, I'd love to see that.
Take that.
But frankly, like I was saying,
down south we're nibbling ankles.
Cam Rising was not the best Cam in the game because the best Cam of the game was Cam Scatterbo. Yeah, and again, I'm not out here trying to be an ASU, glazer or anything in that regard, but I will pin him down as something that you watch that game and damn, that was pretty fun. 22 carries, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, and 41 yards. I'm not going to say that he is like McCaffrey, but that one game and watching him play against a big team and seeing him get jitsy joltsy, gets a lot of carries, that was kind of McCaffrey-esque. I do not think he will be anything like that moving forward. But again, it was very nice to see Utah get absolutely an elbow dropped on them, even if that means that I needed to spend a couple minutes talking about how Arizona State did well. Thoughts?
And Cam Rising, he's definitely sneaking up that hey brother, you need to get a job list. He's there. He's there.
He's in the I wish I got my insurance commercial deal earlier than all of these injuries.
Yeah, he's gonna be 3 beers deep, cussing NIL Yeardom being not one prior.
Yeah, pretty. I don't know how that guy makes it on the football field. It's. I think the Utah stardom stonks have gone crashing down.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough rise for them to get back. Tough Cam Rising to get back, if you will. Pun intended. All right, on to the next one. So
please,
the next game that I was really dialed in on, and it's just because again, I'm really this team. It's kind of on fraud watch, and it's
puzzling.
And it was Penn State at USC.
God.
And when I say they're on fraud watch, I kind of mean both teams. And I mean, at the end of the day, Penn State was able to, get the win on the road. I'm still not really sure how the hell that they did that. Drew, I'll have you damn it, I do that every time. Put the win expectation graphic here. I don't think these charts mean shit, man. You go through the weekend, there's so many of them that look like this, and we all knew that this was going to be a big weekend. There's a lot of big matchups. There's going to be some intensity going on. Pull up the South Carolina one, pull up all of these crazy graphics, and I'm just dude, get the hell out of my face. But at the end of the day, Drew Aller, I don't think is the reason why this team wins that game. I think
he had a clutch touchdown to end that game. I will point out.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, he's an ups and down guy.
Ups and downs guy. Again, I've said it in weeks prior. I don't want to hear about the touchdown to interception ratio because when you play a good defense like USC, they're going to make it competitive like that. And it was kind of cool to see the USC team fight, but it was really cool to be able to see Penn State be able to claw back. I don't know which team I like more at this point, but I think that one of these two teams is probably making the playoff. That's my gut feel from this game, is that this was probably the underrated number one game of the week besides maybe that Oregon OSU game.
Dude, yeah. Every time Penn State and USC play in Rose Bowls, it's just always a good game. I don't know how or why, but it just always works.
Mhm.
It's got a
But
weird feel to it. But the only other game that I was really dialed in on, and because I've been so big on service academies this week, and I felt like it just I wanted to mix it up with my bell cow. So that's just know ahead if you're going to stay tuned. My bell cow is not a service academy, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to spend time and talk about a service academy.
So we're
So
not ringing the bell.
exactly, we're ringing bells later for sure.
not yet, not
Um,
yet.
but UAB at Army was another game that I was dialed in on. 44-10 victory for Army at home. One, Army is insane. They allowed 61 rushing yards in the game, and UAB is not good. Like we know that, right?
Oh, they're
But they're
terrible.
One and
they're
five.
yeah 1-5, bad team. But their Army is only allowing 78 yards per game rushing. And that's through 6 games. I mean, there's only been 2 games where they've allowed over 100 yards from a
In
defensive
college
standpoint.
too.
Yeah. Like again, from an Army standpoint, I don't feel like we're ever really big and keyed in on like the defensive side of the ball. Those stats are diabolical. And then when they can go onto the other side of the ball and they ran for 413 rushing yards as a team, Bryson Daly with 5 total touchdowns, 4 rushing and another passing touchdown,
He threw a
which
dot.
I was going to say 50
Oh,
yard touchdown. This is an Army back to back week with 50-yard passing touchdowns. Ring the damn bell, dude. I don't know what kind of alert we need to be on, but I love seeing Army throw the ball. The
oh, the
ground
Air Force
forces
should be
got through the
scared.
air. It was badass, man. Oh, it was great. Love it.
Oh, it was a great game. It was so fun. It's easily, yeah. And when I see their spreads, it sometimes it's a lock. You just gotta click
Yeah,
wherever.
it's a blind take. I tend to agree.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll probably go to East Carolina at home, and they'll absolutely destroy them. They have the bye, and then they'll play the next Armed Services and Air Force, and probably going to be just the teeth kicking in. The tanks will be rolling in through those
It's going to be a
airplanes.
gong
Oh yeah.
show, and I will be watching every second of it, brother. Let's
And
get
I'm
it.
so interested to see what the over under is for that because I know this one was 56 and we both had it at like 54 or it ended 54 and we took the over at 56. We were just like, oh yeah, totally. And yeah, it wasn't. So I'm,
Awful.
I'm Air Force not having a good year. So interested to see.
Absolutely. And that'll transition us into what was miserable for all of us to watch. Arizona at BYU. Um, we have a take from our friend Matt, who's unavailable to join us. So I'll put his video in now on his takes. But yeah, disgusting win 44-19. We get smacked in the face, and our offense stinks. They suck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This
Oh yeah.
offense is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the red zone picks are killing me, dude. I feel like I just need to like cry in a corner when I'm watching these games because Fafita like I hate being the guy that's like the short quarterback dude because I feel like we've seen so many examples of guys that have been
It's
able
a
to overcome
problem.
that recently, but it's a fucking problem, dude. Like this is I don't understand what's going on with the offense. I've Josh and I were watching it together and watching these slow RPO options that Brennan's trying to run and trying to play
Yeah.
into a very middle running game, which like Quali Conley is a guy that can get through the center, the guard, the tackle. I get it, but like I just feel like in the buddy ball style that Fafita defaults to, defenses are able to just play probably a solid front seven and be able to really just take up that entire middle piece to where now we can't run the ball more than 3 yards and all those slant patterns that he's defaulting to are now taken away. So I walked out of that game shaking my fist at the sky, being like, what the hell is going on? How are we doing? How are we feeling going into Colorado? This is awful.
Well, I mean, like obviously it's not great because I mean the script was there for us offensively to just outscore them in a shootout, with us holding them to 0 points in the first quarter. But yeah, those turnovers at the timeliest of turnovers that are screwing us is awful. And yeah, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of differences between that BYU team and Colorado. Uh, I mean, obviously we'll just all be focused in on Tetsuo versus I would assume that they're gonna have Travis Hunter on him, and we'll just be seeing if he gets burnt a bunch of times or not. So yeah, I mean it's probably just gonna be another week of buddy ball, and we're just gonna be fist shaking at the sky a couple more times.
Well, I will tell you another thing that came out of the Colorado game. I know we're talking Arizona, but Travis Hunter did go down with what it seems like some sort of an injury. So again, the fact
Oh,
that
really?
we're kind of yeah, and it was something where he ran back to the locker room. I think at a minimum one time, it might have been even twice throughout the game. But again, it was kind of a interesting piece. Again, you never want to prey on other people's injuries and whatnot, but if we're going to be going into Colorado, like we need to be able to have some sort of leg up. And if they don't play Travis Hunter, not only does that help your Heisman take, Josh, right there for sure, because I think that he's a sneaky person that might kind of or sneaky player that might kind of kick into the race a little bit later.
Oh no, they're coming to Arizona.
Oh, they're coming to Arizona. Well, either way, I still think that's big, but big to have.
Mhm.
Yeah, just what I've seen, I think our offensive line took a huge step back from last year. I think our run game is terrible. Having no run game for Noah is probably their biggest Achilles heel, because that's what probably helps him get wide, throw to open receivers and whatnot. Just a terrible game. Not impressed. And we ain't playing Colorado next week. Not exciting either.
Yeah, no, a big definitely stock down game for hoping that we can just outscore teams on offense and that the defense can
Especially
at least be serviceable. But yeah, they're just not playing
especially
good.
against the awful Colorado defense too. If we look terrible
Mhm.
against the Colorado defense, just put a fork in it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Agreed.
But that'll do it for college football. And that brings us to our bell cows of the week. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a bell cow? A bell cow is a running back who at least gets 20 carries, over 100 yards, and 1 touchdowns. Oh, yeah. Macho Man Bell Cow Savage. Yeah. Caleb Johnson at a university. Oh, Iowa. Yeah. They know how to run the ball. 21 carries, yeah. 166 yards coming on the ground, yeah. 53-yard run, Need a little spice, need a little excitement, yeah. 2 touchdowns coming on the ground, yeah.
Dog. Absolute dog.
Oh, incredible.
Jake, bell cow of the week, go.
Let's go, baby. My bell cow of the week is Quentin Cooley out of Liberty on Tuesday Night Football. Salute to America. We've got Tuesday Night Football back. Quentin Cooley, the 5'7", 220-pound senior out of Liberty, put up a 29-carry, 174-yard, 2-touchdown performance, averaging 6 yards a carry against FIU in an overtime win on Tuesday Night Football. Salute to service, but not really. Liberty, it was always you. Quentin Cooley, you're my bell cow this week.
Flaming Flames, baby. Let's go. Josh, bell cow of the week. Yeah.
And we continue on to the man who the award should be named after, Ashton Genty. 31 carries. You heard that, 3-1. 217 yards for an average of 7. 1 TD, 1 receiving TD. The stock is up. It's up. The fire, it rises. Check him out on TikTok too, because there's nothing
Such
more
a
impressive
baller.
than destroying a team and then just dancing on their graves.
Absolutely. Heck yeah, Ashton Jenny, absolute bell cow, baby. And that'll wrap up our bell cow of the week. And now we transition into something more spooky. Our pumpkins of the week, who turned to the pumpkin, who absolutely did the most major choke job of this week. Let me start us off. Pumpkin of the week, the FAU Owls out of Boca Raton, Florida, leading the game, had a 92.6% chance to win the game with 4 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game to only lose the game, absolutely lose it. North Texas, 2 touchdowns, 90 seconds apart, comes out with the win at a Boca Raton, and they were winning in paradise, not FAU. Absolute pumpkin. Jake,
North Texas,
Pumpkin.
North Texas up and down, sneaky like watching them.
the green machine.
Oh yeah.
Jake,
My
pumpkin of the week.
Let me hit it. My pumpkin of the week, Ethan Callie McManus, the quarterback, senior, Rutgers, brother, killing me. Killing me, dude. 12 of 32, 103 yards, an interception. Dude, Wisconsin ate you. They doubled the yardage in every category against you at home, brother. I mean, it just looked awful. It looked shaky.
Forget about it.
Forget about this performance, brother. Forget about the performance.
Hey, you ever been to a pumpkin patch? No, I forget it.
He might need to be working at one
Uh,
after that performance.
Josh, who turned into a pumpkin this week?
my pumpkin, the only thing that makes an Arizona loss just a little bit more okay is a Washington Huskies loss against Iowa. Will Rogers, absolute pumpkin. They got outgained 393 to 328 by again Iowa, a team that is not offensively impressive in any sort of way. They weren't in the game to start with, they weren't in the game to end with, and honestly, they should have packed it up at halftime, took their sandwiches, and headed home.
Yep, soggy subs all the way back to Washington. From
Yep.
the Casey's gas station. Is that what it's called? Casey's? Is that big in Iowa? Ever
Oh, I have
big?
no clue.
I don't know.
I have not been to Iowa, dog. Sorry.
We have trashed on Iowa, but I'm pretty sure Casey's gas station, also known for gas station pizza. But yeah, dropped a 40 burger on old UW there.
Oh yeah,
Suck it, Jed. Suck it.
Oh yeah, love it.
And that'll wrap up Pumpkins of the Week. And we exit the pumpkin patch to go to pro football, the NFL. Some pretty interesting games so far that we have seen. So let's start off with the Thursday night game. San Francisco heads into rainy Seattle and they pull out 36-24. Thoughts on the game, guys?
Definitely as a owner of Debo Samuel and George Kittle, stacking that up as a fantasy owner, chef's kiss. Definitely a little scary going into a divisional round any time, but that's the big takeaway. Honestly, I didn't check into the game too much, but from a divisional standpoint, I feel like this was a high scoring game, right?
36
Oh
to
yeah,
24.
Yeah, that's got to be higher than some of the other divisional over, or at least divisional matchups that we've seen throughout the season so far. I feel like everything's been kind of chalked out.
yeah. The Seahawks are just so hot and cold. Like it's looking great or it's just like penalties, whatever. Who knows? It's just either it's going fantastic and they score a touchdown or it's imminent explosions.
There was a second in the game around like in the beginning of the fourth quarter where Seattle did have a chance. It was 23-7. But no, San Francisco said, screw this. We're gonna take the game away. Isaac Guarendo.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry if I butchered your name, Isaac. I apologize. But out of nowhere, Jordan Mason gets out of the game, and this guy had a 76-yard long run. Bell cow
Coming out of
S.
nowhere.
Bell cow S, but not qualifying. Only 10 carries, but interesting game out of Seattle.
Somehow the
I would
49ers just print running backs and it should be investigated.
It's
agreed.
it's the Shanahan's, man. They just know how to run that one cut scheme with running backs. It's quite impeccable, I will say.
Combined with these seamen that emerged from the San Francisco Bay.
Exactly. We then go to the windy. Oh, excuse me, bro. Pardon me. We
Oi.
go to
Oh,
Baltimore, England, where the Chicago
Put
Bears
my
take
pinky
on
up, bro.
the Birmingham Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Bears absolutely put a whopper on the Jaguars, 35-16.
Absolutely class from Caleb and the team. Uh,
Sir
we we
Caleb.
we could not have asked for a better opportune moment for the Bears.
dominance on all sides, mates.
And I'm going to switch up the British accent. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh no,
Pardon me.
Has Caleb Williams arrived?
Is Caleb Williams arrived there, mate? Yes, we have DeAndre Swift touchdown with the one fumble. Cole Kmet. Yes, Sir Cole Kmet, absolutely. 2 touchdowns for Sir Jake, isn't that right?
Hey, he definitely should be knighted after that performance, mate. Or I don't know. I kind of lost the accent right there, but we're
Smashing.
smashing performance from Colt Komet there. We did have him for first touchdown throughout the game, or for the first part of the game. So we woke up at 6:30 in the morning and we cashed early. So we woke out like kings. Aha!
Absolutely brilliant from the Chicago Bears, mate.
And we'll
Brilliant.
check back in on them Jacksonville Jaguars later.
And leaving old merry old England, we go to Philadelphia, the brotherly city of brotherly love, where the Eagles barely skate out with the win, 20-16 against the Cleveland Browns. And Josh, what did you think about your Eagles?
I mean, we can do the positives first because it's a small list. I mean, AJ Brown's still elite. Devontae Smith is still elite. Jalen Hurts elite with them. That seems to be kind of what's going on. Everybody else assuming the Giants lose to the Bengals, which who knows what'll happen there. If the Eagles are the only team that wins this week in the division, that's great. The bads are is that Nick Sirianni continues to need to be walking home. I don't understand how you come out of the bye week looking extremely flat. You're at home. Everything should be going in your favor, especially against a Browns team that continues to just struggle. I mean, Myles Garrett kind of took over there a little bit in the first half. Like, kudos to him. He continues to be just the lab experiment that somehow escaped and is allowed to live as a human amongst other humans. And yeah, he's incredible. But a lot of it's going to be
My question
every game is
is,
just going to be whatever.
what's stopping from the Eagles just absolutely downpouring points on opposing teams? What's stopping them?
I mean, I was really observing that like there's been a lack of motion again, which I don't know if it's just they're not getting the play calls in time or if that's just all more pre-snap procedural stuff and that's not allowing them to figure out what's going on. I mean, it just seems like the offense is either slow or they're just confused and they're not doing anything to help each other out. Like it comes down to a lot of go balls and just let AJ catch balls over other receivers, which he continues to do anytime he wants. And they should allow him to do that anytime they want. But it's kind of the beginning stuff that they had against Green Bay, where they were like scheming stuff open and there was obvious answers to things. Or just it's just kind of getting lost. Which again, out of a bye week, you can't stress enough that that's just coaches aren't setting up the players to be in a spot to succeed.
Yeah, I was gonna say they looked flat. And that
Yeah,
was one of those things where coming out of a bye week, you get your two star guys back on offense. I was pissed, I will tell you, because I had Eagles first half, and it's a theme that I got burnt in the first half. So just know, anybody that's listening to this, I will continue to get burnt, but I will still be pissed while I do it. And it's when you got good matchups, especially when you're playing against shit teams at home, you just got to run with it. So I don't know. From an Eagles standpoint, I think that you guys should definitely be happy with the win. I think that it multiplies to your
oh
point
yeah,
for
you're
sure
always
if the
happy with the
Giants end
win.
up losing for sure.
Mhm.
But man, it was I don't think it's anything to hold hat on, but definitely happy with W's.
No.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not so much a confidence boosting win, but you got the win.
Mhm.
Going to the opposite side with the Browns, well, I'll keep it short, but Deshaun Watson is on the mountaintop and he is starving oxygen of this whole Browns team, and they're so anemic and they're so bad. And then that second half, he somehow was like perfect, like 11-11.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I don't. Again, like I guess just the check down passes were. I mean, they were running the ball down the Eagles' throats. Like the Eagles were not trying to keep big personnel out there, and they threw him back out there after a while. But yeah, they were running the ball pretty easily to then setting up the pass. Which again, there's going to be improvement when Nick Chubb is back. That's obvious.
Yeah, and especially it looked like Jerome Ford went down, and he's probably
Yep.
out with a
Hmm.
hamstring injury for a little bit. So, I mean, for as much as it's serendipity that you don't want somebody to get hurt, but the fact that Nick Chubb is coming back, like there's definitely some juice into it too. So we'll be watching Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, I think, put himself in some positions again during this game to where he wants to get hurt and he wants to be done. There was a run where he went to the right by the pylon, and I thought that it was that. I thought that was it. I really thought that that was the hit where there were like three guys that were swarming in on him, and it was just like again, not praying for anybody's injuries, but I just don't think that he wants to be there anymore, and I think that again he puts himself in positions to potentially
Oh,
not
or he
be
just
Jameis,
cries
the
for the
future.
foul.
Yeah,
Jameis could have won that game,
for
Josh, if he
sure.
got put in.
He definitely could.
He's eating
Um,
W's.
yeah, W's eaten. Um, we then go on to two former teams that Mr. Jameis has played. We go to New Orleans, where the Buccaneers put an absolute shellacking on the New Orleans Saints, 51-27. This was a pretty exciting game from what it was.
Hell yeah, it was. What do you mean? The Saints downfall. Hell yeah, brother. We love it.
Yeah, with a rookie quarterback, you can't be
Dude,
dancing
I
on
don't
you can
care.
only dance on the grave if it's the Saints. Come, or that's
Oh my
Derek Carr.
god.
Excuse me.
Okay, well, I will continue to do my little
All
tap
right,
dance
go,
on where I'm
go,
at. Yeah,
go.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Spencer, we're
Um,
sorry.
Yeah, Spencer, sorry, brother. But again, at the end of the day, I won't dig into it too much. I just think that the biggest takeaway that I have from this game is that Tampa's legit, man. If Tampa's
Yeah.
defense actually show up game over game and they have a consistent running game, which again, the whole switch from Bucky Irvin to I don't even know the second guy that ended up coming
Sean
in.
Tucker.
There we go. Sean Tucker, who had over 100 yards and a touchdown too. Like again, if they can have those type of bell cow split back running backs that we've talked about in the past, they're going to be a very scary team to watch. And Baker Mayfield just tore them up.
He did
Yeah.
with 3 interceptions. It was pretty
Yeah.
gross after like the
He was
Hey,
first half,
slinging
but
it.
but I think that he was trying to do a lot, and I think in those style of like divisional games, he's just trying to piss away a lead, or not piss away, but trying to get into a huge lead. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The one big thing that I was on watch prior to that game, obviously I was huge on Tampa. But Chris Godwin going into that game, I had always heard that there was some sort of like he does well against the Saints, so I looked into it prior to the game. Um, in career games prior to this, he has had 64 catches, 913 yards, 7 touchdowns. And again, that's in 16 games. So today, after that performance, he then had 11 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns today. So we were big on him going into the game.
Godwin wants a war on New Orleans, I guess.
Yes, he does.
yes, Buccaneers absolutely destroy. We then go to the Battle of the Beltway, where the Commanders roll into Baltimore Ravens and end up losing 30-23 in a pretty close game.
Derrick
Sucks.
Henry.
Yeah, he's
I
inevitable,
mean,
man.
guys, come on. I knew we weren't. I even said on the show we weren't
No,
going to
we
win
know,
this
we know,
game.
we know. Hey, we're with you, brother. As someone who recently lost to Derrick Henry this season, I got you. Like, it'd be like that. I think the game was really fun to watch, though. For as much as it was definitely a shaky and somewhat of a scary performance from Jaden Daniels, I think too, in some regard, I think that it was definitely competitive. But I think my biggest takeaway is that Derrick Henry probably should have been everyone's bell cow this week. 24 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dude, put the crown back on. King, he's
Yeah,
back, and he's I think he's scored in every game this season. He's got 3 games with multiple touchdowns. It's some diabolical stuff he's doing right now.
absolutely. Uh, as far as this game being as close as it was, I was pretty impressed because our defense was not good at all. Benjamin St. Juste was terrible. Our defensive backs. Lamar had some probably one of the most wide open receivers ever going to pick apart our zone defense. He absolutely put 300 yards on that defensive core. But I was impressed with the offense. It didn't help that we didn't have Brian Robinson Jr., our pretty much Derrick Henry light,
Yeah.
so to say.
A red
Um,
zone hammer. That should be
yeah,
something.
because I mean we had 52 total yards of rushing offense. Austin Eckler is more of obviously our third down back, passing, catching, what have you. But yeah, I can't say I'm upset with the loss. Obviously, would I like to have won the game? Yes. But yeah, just gonna move on to Carolina and have it be our get back game.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. We then transition over to New England, where the Houston Texans take them on 41-21, and it was a debut game for Drake May.
I saw a lot of chatter, let's call it, going into this game where people thought that the Texans line was fraudulent at 6.5. They were like, "Oh, like Patriots rookie quarterback, like we've seen this."
Name
Like,
names. I want to
I
know.
yeah, I know. Pull up the receipts, man. I mean, this is gross, but
Yeah,
again,
no.
I
Belichick's not there anymore.
yeah, CJ Stroud definitely mollywopped that team, and Drake May did not look great at all. I think there was maybe one touchdown throw that I was really impressed by, and I feel like everybody probably saw that coming. But
Garbage time touchdowns.
yeah, garbage time
Yeah.
touchdowns. A big takeaway is that Texans needed Joe Mixon, and that's I think what everybody's been waiting for is that this team can easily put up 35 plus points a game. In this case, 41. Frankly, they need to have that consistent running attack, and if then they can bring in a guy like Singletary to be able to, or I'm sorry, it's not Singletary, it's Pierce, right? Pierce is their second or is their
Does
third down
Damian
back?
Pierce even still play? I thought it was
Yeah, he's their second guy.
Yeah, so
Eight
yeah, so
carries, 76 yards and a touchdown.
that's what I'm saying, right? So Damian Pierce can't be your number one guy, but he can be the guy that easily comes in and fills in for a guy like Mixon, who can just be that, near bell cow for you. Because what, he had at least two touchdowns today, right?
no, he had one
Mixon had
touchdown.
one. Yeah.
Oh, he
Oh,
had one.
Mixon had one. Yeah, I thought we were
Yeah,
talking about
Mix. Oh,
Damian.
yeah, Mixon had one, and
Oh, he
Damian
had a
Pierce had one.
receiving. He had a receiving.
So Mixon had two total, right?
Yes.
There
Yes.
we go. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
looking
a
at
lot of
the.
this game,
Go
like
ahead.
this game for me though, is that like I think like a lot of those New England boogeymans might just be, they might be done.
The home
Yeah,
field advantage there might be gone.
Yeah.
rightfully so. I'm so happy that that's the case because I can't stand New England fans. I hope.
Um,
Hope it goes back to the 80s for 90s for you, please. Moving on, we go to the Music City Tennessee Titans lose to the Indianapolis Colts with elite Joe Flacco 20-17.
Joe Flacco stonks up.
Right.
tremendously.
Um, Will Levis, 95 yards passing on 16 completions.
Another
Will
historic
Levis.
day.
Will Levis stonks down.
I
That's
mean,
my analysis on the game.
it was the Colts
Mayo
got
and
first, the
coffee.
Titans got second, and the chain gang got third.
But yeah, Will Levis looked not so great. Tony Pollard was probably the only shining light you could really say about that Titans offense. But they Titans defense gave Joe Flacco a little bit of push. Had one interception. They look pretty good. Michael Pittman and both Josh Downs scored touchdowns.
The Titans defense is definitely a little underrated.
No, they're
But
really good. They just have the worst offense to deal with in
yeah,
Will Levis.
yeah, it's
Uh,
it's an interesting time down there in Nashville.
oh yeah,
Wouldn't want to
another
be that team.
historic performance again from Will Levis. He took out a chain gang member. I don't know if you guys saw the
Oh,
pictures
did
from
he like
that.
tear? Didn't that guy have to get checked by athletic trainers? I think I saw that his
Oh
knee
no,
or something.
he got carted off.
He
Like
got
they drove
Hmm.
clipped.
Yeah,
they drove him off the field, and I was like, whew. Which again, there's something to be said where they allow way too many just mortal men around these just walking
Titans.
muscles.
Look.
Yeah, it's and like a part of it is for me is like it's crazy that like there's got to be college students in any of these towns that you could literally pay like 20 something an hour to stand there. There's got to be
beer and peanuts, dude. What?
literally like so much less of a liability for them to be on the chain gang than having like literal like like 40-50-year-old men that like yeah they just get folded up on and you're like oh
Oh, I thought it was a ball boy. Was it a ball boy? I think it
oh
was
who knows.
it was really like a ball man because some of those guys are like in their 40s too. But
It
He's a
was
ball
it
man.
was something but yeah like
yeah,
Will Levis he's got a historic run man it's
to
all
put
time.
to put the chair on this game, I think the Titans should tank and get a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that should be the movement with the Titans because everything else is pretty good. Moving on, we go to the land of cheese, the frozen tundra, where the Green Bay Packers absolutely beat the Arizona Cardinals 34-13, and the Cardinals are no longer fun.
No longer fun at all, man. The Packers
No.
are definitely back. They're fully healthy, is what it's starting to seem like. And again, when you've got all those receivers, you've got Jordan Love firing away. I feel like everybody wanted this to be, that top 10, top five offense. And now that everybody's healthy and they're back, it's just a showcasing performance of it. Packers stocks are high, man. I it could be one of those teams that you watch out for a little bit later in the year.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
So what happened to Marvin? Did he just get concussed?
I heard a head injury was the case, and then yeah, that sucked for my fantasy team in one of my leagues.
Not
Um,
great.
no, not great
Dang.
at all.
Yeah, Cardinals stinky bad. I mean, I can only wish the best for whatever that Bozo head coach is. I can't remember what his name is already
Bannon,
up.
Josh Show,
Josh
oh,
Gannon, yeah. I
Gannon.
cursed it enough already. I mean, like in previous years, but boring ass Cardinals.
Agreed.
Yeah, Cardinals no longer fun. It was fun while they had it. Moving on to Viva Las Vegas, where the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Raiders 32-13 in the first afternoon slate game.
Aiden O'Connell was back. I don't know if that's his second week back or
This is his first week back.
His
Yeah.
first week back, yeah, he was not good. But also you put him in against the Steelers, and so I prayers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a hard ocean to just get thrown into right there. There's no paddles, there's no nothing there. I mean, Devonte Adams is just not there. You're grasping at straws with again. I think Brock Bowers is good, but Brock Bowers being your number one guy that you've got to go to right now as a rookie, real
Yeah,
tough.
he's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Max Crosby showed back up, and that didn't matter because the Pittsburgh Steelers nearly put 200 yards rushing on them. And Najee Harris finally over 100 yards and
Oh,
over than like 3 yards average per carry. So absolutely chef's kiss game by him.
first
yeah,
touchdown of the year for him.
Yeah,
and TJ Watt continues to just be an absolute terror.
I know.
Eating.
Yeah, could be another defensive player of the year for old PJ.
Yeah, yeah. He everywhere, every time you look, you're just like, oh yeah, like he might as well just be like, literally like the only person that you're buying tickets to go see because he just makes an impact in every game. And what a crazy guy.
Teleports into the
Defense.
backfield.
Defense. Um, but yeah, the absolute good game by the Steelers. We
Mhm.
then go to the Mile High City. The Denver Broncos take on the Chargers and lose 23-16 after being down 23-0 at some point, right?
Yes, they were down
Yeah,
23-0. And when I had checked in at one point, Bo Nix had 27 passing yards. So I actually don't care to see what the box score is. And frankly, you don't have to tell me because the Broncos suck, dude. And okay, Drew, you give me the finger. Read the
Bo
stat.
Nix had 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then
Bo Nix had 200.
60.
I don't give a fuck, dude. They like he's not good. Like, and
he had
when
a bit
it
of
comes,
he
I'm
had a
not
bit of an
defending him,
explosion.
I know, I know. But like he's gonna be a guy that if he ends up
Drew Page, known Bo Nix lover.
yeah, true.
It's Bo time.
Yeah, it's oh my god.
Not today,
Uh,
though.
No, it just looked gross, man. And again, I think that when you watch him play, I see what people are seeing in some regard, where like he's able to make like a sideline throw sometimes, and I'm like, I don't even like the words that are coming out of my mouth right now when I'm saying them. But I don't know, man. I think that I don't know if this is a big Chargers game that we look into that much. I think that the Chargers kind of just took advantage of a team that probably
Yeah,
isn't nearly as good as them. But I don't think that
yeah,
we can really go ahead and say like the Chargers are great. The Chargers are this, that, and the other. Like again, it kind of reminds me of like the Eagles game. You know what I mean? Where it was kind of just like, nah, like you got the win. Like congrats on your W. Don't talk too much shit about it because you played against a really shitty team, and I don't really want to hear more about it. You know?
I
I mean,
mean,
it was kind of like it was more like Herbert, who has his own demons, right? Was just like, listen, listen, Bo, listen. My demons are bad, but they're not Bo Nix bad.
Yeah.
no, I think this was a game that Jim Harbaugh really wanted to put his foot down against like a really crummy team who has gotten some pretty like out of nowhere wins against some
Mhm.
like somewhat good teams. I'm not saying they have really any remarkable wins, Jake. But that ends their 3 game winning streak. That was the Buccaneers, the Jets, and now the Raiders. But yeah, I'm sure Jim Harbaugh really wanted to punch Sean Payton in the face to get
Me
that
Which he
too.
win.
had like he had like a weird little health scare in like the beginning of the game or something where
He
he was
did.
Who,
gonna go.
Jim?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was gonna
He
go
went
to
to the
like
blue
the
tent, dude.
yeah,
Oh.
but he seemed to have returned. So um,
Nothing's gonna stop that man. That man is so inherently weird about just not letting anything stop him.
they probably have like a case in there that's like break glass and it's just a glass milk right there. It's just like a
I
little
was just
milk
gonna
thing.
say it's something legend.
They just hook the IV up to him and there's somehow it's just a cow in there. They're just like
Just raw milk for Jim. Um, but that'll transition us to North Carolina, where the Atlanta Falcons stroll in and beat them 38-20. Uh, I didn't watch this game that much, but yeah, Falcons just ran the yard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Panthers,
Sick.
Panthers, Panthers dead. I mean, I don't really. Yeah,
No, Kirk Cousins did pretty okay. Tyler Algier had a absolute baller game along with Bijan. They had almost 200 yards rushing, just 2 yards shy. Drake London had a touchdown. Anything to add about this game?
no, Panthers bad.
And that'll lead us off to our last afternoon slate game where the Detroit Lions go into Dallas, Texas and absolutely obliterate them 47-9. Jake. A coward. What a
I
coward.
mean, we
No,
can
I'm
both take
back.
this
I'm
one.
back. I'm back. No, stop.
Um,
Those just for the
Uh,
Jake,
memes.
is it still the Cowboys year?
You get like one more of those.
I just want to see like a Skip Bayless Jake just like grab his Parsons jersey back there and just huff and puff and like do a little jump throw.
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, dude, I will tell you, I as someone who likes to think that I'm pretty dialed in on this type of stuff, and I've got, not a lot, but some action on these games, and I'm, taking little parlays and micro bets and whatnot. The only game, and I swear, the only game that I had no action on this entire week was the Dallas one, and it's because I was terrified.
Oh,
And I
good
think
for
that,
you.
well, right, and well, I think I ended up being smart
Uh,
for being an idiot in the sense, where it's like I'm following a team, and I just didn't
Believing in
want to.
your heart.
Right, yeah. And I don't know, man. I think that all the stories about Detroit having the juice going into the game clearly fed into them. They're a team that plays on the narrative so damn well. Dan Campbell is just a dog. I think that when it comes to the Cowboys perspective, it's really starting to just become glaringly obvious that like the team is just not as deep as it needs to be, and like injuries are going to get every team. You know what I mean? Let's think about a team like a Packers, though, right? Where the Packers lose their top guy, they've been losing receivers left and right all throughout the season, and they're still able to piece the shit together and be able to have an offense that's able to look cohesive, right? And I just think that the Dallas offense is not look cohesive. There's no running attack that's consistent. Um, I need a beer. That's my take on the game.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is rushing. Like I did not expect. I mean, like Rico Dowell is what he is. Like he was handy. He had his moments. Bringing back Ezekiel Elliott was just kind of a desperation play. I think to just kind of get people to be quiet about free agency. And yeah,
Oh,
like that
Zeke's
that
back. Yay. Bring the band back
and like
together.
their weird little like solution where they're just like, maybe we'll just scheme up CD Lamb behind the line of scrimmage and just try to get him on some like jet sweeps. It's just like it can only get you so far. Like this is the NFL. Like and it's the same when I'm working with the Eagles, where it's like you watch a team like Detroit and they're scheming people open. There's obvious like plays that are being ran with the idea of making things easier for everybody, and that they have succeeded heavily where it works. And again, like they're a team that if Jared Goff, if you can sink that guy, then you win.
Jake, does Mike McCarthy get fired this year?
Probably. I mean, fuck, dude. It's one of those years where, again, I feel like everybody saw coming in. Oh, they've gone 12-5 the last couple of years. That's what we should expect. And there's just been some games this year that have been really shaky. And again, I think that the injury bug has definitely bit the Cowboys hard. The secondary looks awful. And Deron Bland not being there, who I do think that last year that was still a little bit of a fluke because that's by far the best year that he's ever had in his career.
Oh, yeah. What do you have? Like 8 touchdowns returned?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, NFL setting career year, record breaking year type thing. So I don't think that that type of impact is coming back whatsoever. But honestly, we talked about it earlier in the show with Arizona, and I hate the fact that it's alluding to both of my teams. But these red zone interceptions, man, are just killing me. And Dak Prescott, dude, you just read the effing defense, man. Like it's getting to a point where there's a lot of ball hawking, and sure, there's been some tip interceptions that are there, but I'm definitely a frustrated Cowboys fan this week. All of you can, have your one moment in the sun of this, but just I'm coming back. We're
Yeehaw.
we're coming back.
2
Against two.
points I want to make. The Cowboys schedule, you guys have a bye, and you guys better figure it out because you have quite the schedule ahead of you. You have San Francisco in
Right.
San Fran, at Atlanta. You have Philly at home. You have the Texans at home. You have Washington at home, and then the Giants, and then you guys
Oh.
kind of a little bit of a break. And then my second point is how dare you guys injured Hayden Hutchinson, and I guess it was a pretty bad leg injury.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I will tell you, probably about 3 minutes prior to that is when I turned off the game and I did not watch another down. That yeah, out of frustration, so I did not catch it. But thoughts and prayers. He's a dog, and definitely all the best.
Yeah, I was watching NASCAR instead of this game.
Yeehaw.
Well, that'll put the cherry on top for the absolute shellacking that the Detroit Lions put on the Cowboys. That was my last dig. Um, then we go on to the Monday night game where the Cincinnati Bengals stroll into the Big Apple to take on the New York Giants. Thoughts and predictions? I kind of don't want to watch this game, depending on how Cincinnati plays.
It
I'll be
should be
tuned in.
Cincinnati by a million.
They're
I
a
mean,
4.5 point favorite.
Yeah,
yeah, you just hope that they continue to try to score 30 and that Daniel Jones at least destructs a little bit more. Malik Neighbors will probably be back. Try not to kill him. I know I pleaded last week of like, uh, yeah, he's a rookie. He's good. He's talented. But like, come on, Daniel Jones, like
dude.
preserve.
Yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be a little bit of a better game than we think it's going to be. My head has been, kind of saying all day that it should just be Bengals outright. It should be Bengals by a million, right? And I think that the biggest thing that's kind of giving me that intuition is really just the fact that Daniel Jones is absolutely terrible in prime time. Like, in straight up game, in 14 career games straight up, he's 1-13. So I just, and I don't know how much I want to really believe in that. What I do really want to believe in is how shitty MetLife Field is. And I think that the game is in New York, correct?
It is
Or New
no,
Jersey?
it is. It's in the Meadowlands, yeah.
Yep. I don't think that this is going to be a game where we don't see the over. I think it's going to be a high scoring matchup. I think that either Bengals walk in and they're really able to throw an elbow and they're going to put up like what we talked about in weeks past, where they're going to put up
Ooh,
35 points. And then the Giants maybe get a couple of sneaky ones just because that Cincinnati defense is awful.
I'm so on a first half under like a scripted drive touchdown Bengals, then probably a field goal scripted Giants, and then nothing until the second half.
Mm.
I have two flip sides to this coin. I think the Bengals defense is so bad that they make Daniel Jones look competent, or the Giants ran out of secret sauce after putting up 29 points last weekend because they haven't put up more than 20 points a game really outside of that one. Uh, and maybe Joe Burrow just absolutely dominates. So who knows? My second point, I want to make a funny meme if the Giants absolutely get just destroyed. I want to make like a passing of the torch of like Kirk Cousins to Daniel Jones. I think that'd be a funny meme.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So I'll have to keep that in the book. But yeah, give me the Bengals, give us the over, right? Is that what we're
Yeah.
thinking?
That's what I'm riding with.
All right, so we're all on the Bengals. Excellent. We go to Monday Night Football, where the Buffalo Bills also stroll into the Big Apple to take on the New York Jets. What do we think? Aaron Rodgers is off the injury report, and he will be playing for Monday Night Football.
And GMing is supposedly.
Hell yeah.
I
Hell
mean, yeah,
yeah.
I'm totally like anti Aaron Rodgers, like especially where it's just like I did not understand where like the rumors were that like Salah wanted to get Hackett to not call plays, and then they immediately
And
fired
they,
Salah,
yeah,
and then
he
Hackett
did end
loses
up
play
getting them.
calling, and then I'm like, what? So the defense is certainly not the problem. So then it's just like what Aaron Rodgers just has an ego, like which again we already know that. So with the things we already know and the things that they're trying to tell us, which again Aaron Rodgers conspiracy theory weirdo, like yeah, just what what are we doing?
This could be a weird game where you get a new head coach and everybody's juiced up and
Yeah,
maybe they somehow pull a win out of their butt. But I don't know. This is kind of a hard game to read. What
because
do you
the
I was
guys
gonna
Bills are on a
think?
say,
cold streak. Bills are on a cold streak right now.
Yeah, ever,
yeah,
ever since the Ravens game where I overreacted and I correctly reacted, Jake, the Bills are a 1 point favorite in this game.
Oh
yeah.
God, please don't fight.
I will definitely tell you that I'm scared to take Buffalo money line, but I would be even more scared to take the Jets money line.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that that alone is my thought with it. I do think that while we just said that we think that with Cincinnati, it's going to be Cincinnati in the over, I'm going to go with Buffalo in the under. And I have a feeling that this is going to be a really gross divisional matchup. I think that I'm pretty sure that weather in New York is playing some sort of a contribution, at least tonight.
Well, they're
So
both New York teams.
that's what I'm saying though, is that because they're
Okay,
playing in New
fair.
York tonight, it's going to be the exact same
they're playing in
stadium.
New Jersey.
Okay. Everybody take a damn breath here, okay? Because they're playing on the same field on Sunday night as they are on Monday
They
night.
just changed the banners.
I'm gonna fight you, but point being is that I will be riding with the Bills and the under for Monday night. And I think it's just going to be a really gross matchup. The only way I see this really flipping the script is if somehow Buffalo puts up 45, and then the Jets get, 10 points, right? And then we're cooked. But I don't see Buffalo being able to put up that many points. That's me.
Yeah, yeah. I'll probably pick the Bills because I just don't want the Jets to win. And maybe
Oh.
the over, maybe the over. Maybe it's a get right game against a Jets team that clearly has too many distractions, but might be juiced up in the first half and could get some points.
Oh, so we're on the Buffalo Bills. Circle the wagons. Give me
Yeah.
the Jets because I don't care. I've taken my gambling break this weekend. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'll take the Jets on the under. Make it wacky. We'll see. We'll
I
see.
like it.
All right.
Interesting game. But that'll wrap up NFL and move on to our current events, what we saw throughout the week, what we saw interesting. I'll start off like normal. The Tampa Bay's Rays Tropicana Field tarp absolutely got obliterated by Hurricane Milton, and now people are grabbing those pieces of tarp and selling them on eBay. You could see them, you get them for $40. I don't know who would want to pay for that dump of a stadium. And then one lady was selling $900 for a piece of turf. Get them while you can,
Yeah,
Rays
clearly.
fans.
She just like
Jeez.
descend in there and like with a knife and just start cutting.
Basically.
It was literally her like holding the turf in the picture in the stadium.
Oh my God, we're gonna jump cut to like 6, 7, 8 months, probably a couple of years later, and it's gonna be in a court of law, and it's gonna be like, "Ma'am, is this you?" And they're just gonna look over.
Is this your photo from Facebook Marketplace 3 years ago with the Tropicana Field turf?
That could be anybody.
I plead the fifth, Your Honor, Your Majesty. And then when the Mets beat the Philadelphia Phillies, which was absolutely chef's kiss. Big Poppy was making it rain in the Fox studio. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah,
He was throwing cigars down onto like the desk, throwing cash.
He's a legend.
bro, what an
This-
elite troll.
Club Mets. I thought that was so funny. And then maybe if you guys saw this video I put in, former NBA vet of 13 years, Sam Mitchell drops his co-host address live on air.
I'm surprised coaches get a paycheck for this show. I think like maybe you should do this pro bono, my friend.
Last time I looked at my check, it's pretty close. So, hey, I'm taking donations. Why don't you come up off some of that money you got since you're over there bragging about it?
I'm not bragging about it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you rent your beach house out down in Florida during the hurricane? Or do I need to go on? How about your townhouse over in Buckhead?
Hey, what's going on here, Sam?
You want to call me out? I mean, come on.
I think
You screaming broke and hungry. Let's just see it. I know what you have and where you live, young fella, so you need to stop.
I think we have snitches on the show today.
No, we
His
don't have
name
snitches. We
is
have
Sam
truth tellers.
Mitchell.
We have truth tellers, so you're the one who crying poor and destitute up here. Do I need to keep going on further, more and more? Or do you want me to stop right now?
Go to this game between
That's
the
what I
Sacramento
thought you should do.
Kings
I done
and
told
the
you, young
Golden
fella,
State Warriors.
you're going to stop messing with me on national TV. I done told you about that. Hey, do I need to give out the address? Because you're not at home right now.
Look at this. A game in Seattle.
This dude was heated. He told the viewers exactly where his address was because his colleague gave him flack for getting paid to do his job as an analyst. And he was having none of it. And he's just like, "Aren't you the same guy? You probably get paid too, right? You probably had got to pay the bills for that vacation home in Florida after Hurricane Milton came through and destroyed it." Like he was not holding back. I just thought it was so funny.
Buddy was leaning in. Jeez.
Dude, yeah, it's Sam Mitchell, absolute unhinged moment on TV, classic television moment. Josh, what did you have for current events?
I really just have time to only just be talking about Guardians baseball. Obviously, a game that happened prior in the week where we had stocks a little bit down going in Detroit, which a game that featured the first go ahead pitch hit home run. That of course being David Fry, who just decided that he wanted a little bit of takeover time. And yeah, the game Saturday, right? Yeah, was absolutely electric. Uh,
Lane Thomas.
ball, screw you. Emmanuel Classe out here was just saying, you know what? I will be the best pitcher today, and also Screwball pitched today, I guess, as well. Um,
I really wanted to make my play Emmanuel Clase walking out to Wild Thing from Major League. I thought that was
That's
he
so
was
sick.
sick.
he was feeling it too. Like I remember, I think he struck out Carpenter. I think it might have been the eighth inning, and he just stared him down like the whole time when he was walking back to the dugout because he's just like, again, like I said, I think I might have said it last week, where he's like, you just hope, or maybe I just told all of you, where you hope with that home run, like it just happens once and then it doesn't happen again, and it's just return to form, return to excellence, and that's exactly what it was because that bullpen went out there and dealt kind of a kind of a short leash on Boyd, which I was less of a fan of, but I mean I kind of get it when you want to get all those guys out there to throw stuff. I mean, going to some of the rookies like that we hadn't seen, like Walters and Sobrowski, was kind of a bit. It was a decision. But yeah, I thought that was it was a fun game. Hart was beating the whole time. That God, that grand slam was.
Oh,
Whew.
I know, dude. It was
Electric.
so sick. You felt it coming too.
Oh yeah. Something had to give, and that's exactly what postseason baseball is all about. And it was incredible.
Now to ask you this, sadly we don't get a interdivision or no, excuse me, division rivalry for the championship game with the Royals versus the Guardians, but you
Failed me for the
guys
last time.
you guys have to take on the Empire, the New York Yankees. What do we see out of that series?
Yeah, I mean it they I think they were 6-2 this year against the Yankees. So
Oh, stonks.
no, sorry. They were the two wins.
Eh,
And so I think they kind of gutted out some wins and got blown out in some
Not
of the other
stonks.
ones, but a bit of a different team. I mean, again, with this balanced schedule, you don't see teams nearly as much as you used to. So I'm excited for it. I'm real nervous because I've seen them lose a whole lot of times to the Yankees. But yeah, I mean, obviously the starting pitching is the thing that the Guardians need to just carry them as far as they can, and the offense clearly kind of woke up. Clearly, I think there was a bit of a storyline where it was some of the teams that got that bye week. They started a little flat. The Guardians obviously survived their first game and won, but yeah, the teams that got that bye week made it made it in advance. So it's definitely something that's valued. But yeah, you just got to survive coming out a little bit flat because of it.
That was a hell of a series for you guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun one versus the Yankees for you. I don't know where my head's at on it. I just think that the
Oh, I
Yankees
know.
glaring obvious, like the biggest thing that they're missing is just going to be pitching when it comes to the pitch, like starter side and on the Cleveland side. They are probably when it comes to all three major assets, when it comes to like fielding, hitting, and pitching, they probably are the top team that is remaining when it comes to being balanced on all three of those sides. So
Yeah.
damn,
So much of
postseason
it is
baseball,
they've
man.
just
Let's
made
go.
do with what they've got for starting pitching, which is just unbaseball.
Just please beat the Yankees. Just do us all a favor.
And yeah,
Hey,
you can run on them.
and we could see a matchup between you two if it pans out, and we'll go to Jake. Current events. What did we see this week?
Well, if I'm sorry, if Josh gets to talk about a team that he gets to play from New York, I guess I get to talk about a team that we get to play from New York too. So I will be talking about how the Dodgers and the Mets face off in exactly by the time we're recording, it is in 1 minute from now. So
Oh
my
yeah.
my big game projections on all of this right now. First thing to know is that the Dodgers have scored the second most runs in the regular season. The Mets have scored the seventh. So these are two of the better offenses that are going to be playing against each other. Big stat to know from that, though, is that there's an 80-run gap in between that. So we're talking about almost a half an extra run per game all the way throughout the entire season between the Dodgers and the Mets when it comes to scoring runs.
Wow.
Um, the other big stat that I found was that both teams finished in the top 10 with batting average allowed on their pitching staffs. And both of them have been really shaky throughout the year. There's been injuries, there's been inconsistencies. But again, the gap in between The Mets were tied for second at 230 as a batting average allowed. Dodgers 235. Don't think that's too big of a gap, but again, postseason baseball, everything gets a little grimy, gets a little bit crazy. Furthermore, yeah, I just used furthermore on the podcast. Everybody, that's crazy right there, right? Um,
Tuned in.
Anywho, so there,
Nothing on my end.
right? The Dodgers and the Mets, they've played 6 times throughout the year. The Dodgers, they're currently 4-2 throughout the year, averaging 6 runs a game, 9 home runs, looking like a team that you want to have going into the postseason. Whereas the Mets, they're only averaging 3 runs in those games with 5 home runs total. There's just not a lot of that, big ball postseason action that we're really going to need to see. All of that being said, my current event on this is you can lock it in now, put it on the newspapers, Dodgers in 6.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. I just want to say, well, we're back to our playoff preview. I could be more happier with the results of Mets versus Dodgers. That's exactly what I wanted, and I got it.
There you go.
Suck it, Philadelphia. Eat it, Phillies. Bryce Harper, another year without a ring. Suck it. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting series. Whether the Mets magic, that offense can go against up the Dodgers bullpen, which maybe in past years isn't as good as previous years of pitching staff, but Dodgers offense obviously nuclear at any time.
Agreed. And I think it's going to come down to the big stars, right? So again, for a guy like Otani in the 5 of the 6 games that he played for this year against the Mets, 6 of 20 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Like that's the type of performance that you're going to need to see. But the fun stat that I found is between Mookie and Shohei in those 6 games together combined for 10 walks. And I think that that's really going to be a big key difference between these two teams is that from a Dodgers pitching staff, they've never really been known too much as being one to walk too many players and to really like give up those extra bases. Like there might be times where they get absolutely imploded on, but there's not a lot of walking of pitchers, right? Or I'm sorry, walking of batters. So I think that that's going to be a real key piece of the matchup. I think that the Mets have some juice and they'll probably get a couple of these, later game comebacks like we've seen, like that P. Alonso home run. We could talk about it for
Oh,
ever, right? But I think it's really going to come down to big play performance. And for guys like the Mets, in those 6 games that they've played against the Dodgers, Alonso is 4 of 22 with 0 home runs and a sac fly, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Lindor, who's probably their second best bat, is 8 of 25, so solid average, but 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Like those
Yeah,
aren't the lines that are sustainable.
Yeah, but Lindor knows a good moment to hit a home run. That's for
I
certain.
know, I
Lindor.
know.
Matt's not here, but Lindor just absolutely laid it on the table for Matt after talking smack when he was like .067 batting average. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Matt Francisco, Mr. Smiles is back.
Oh yeah, love him,
He's
miss
back.
him.
Absolutely. But that'll wrap it up for current events. And we move on to our bench replay segment. Who are we playing? Who are we benching, baby? I'm playing the NFC South is the most fun division in the season so far. Jake, don't look away. Look me right in the eye when I say it. The most fun division. At Panthers and Falcons today. We had the Saints and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're back to high scoring football and who wants it the least as far as this division goes.
I'm with it. I love it.
Um, and then my bench, an a high frequency topic that hits a lot in this podcast, benching Georgia football players once again. One Georgia football player who I will not name because he doesn't deserve to have his name spoken, arrested on battery charges and assault of an unborn child. This is the 7th Georgia player to get arrested this year.
Awful.
Netflix documentary will slap.
I feel like Kirby Smart should get some reprimanded at some point.
At some point, you got to be like, wait,
How
what's
is he not
coming?
accountable? Like this is like totally coming down to like the Urban Meyer, like Florida thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How good can you be before you have to be taken down off the mountain? You know what I mean?
hmm
I might just want to have Georgia football be terrible so we could have some accountability because obviously I'm sure Georgia cops are going to be looking the other way for the football team. So I don't know. It's disgusting. I hate it. Bench Georgia football players. Be better men. Bunch of children. Childs. playing football. So, Josh, what do we have? Venture play this week.
I will be playing more Guardians. Stephen Kwan to be specific. I have a little video here. Here, maybe Drew will include it. We'll link it or whatever. But it's just basically Stephen Kwan getting doused in alcohol and he's holding a champagne bottle upside down. And he's like, they're throwing cans on him and he's getting ready to like fight him with it. It's very funny. But yeah, in the postseason, he's batting .524. So, over 500. He's a defensive stud. And I have here that they should just give him a blank check because it's deserved.
Is your owner going to want to pay him that blank check?
I mean, literally, no. He's such a tightwad, and it makes me so annoyed. And it's so annoying that like you'll listen to like other podcasts, and they'll just be like, "Oh, and we'll just remind you that the Guardians owner has enough money to pay players." And I'm like, "Yeah, you think I don't know? Like, I'm just watching Francisco Lindor play and like with the." And you're just like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, no, it's annoying. Also, screw all the other outlets and stuff like that don't want to give Cleveland their due. I know ESPN literally had like, it's obviously known. Like, I think the Guardians have last on their list for possible World Series matchups. And yeah, screw you.
It's right. It's right. Shout out for all the small market teams. Jake wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
understand though.
I would not, unfortunately. But
Medium market
that'll
myself, but Jake, sorry.
no, you're good. It'll lead into my play. My continuous play is that the Saints continue to be a dumpster fire. We already laid on it. I'm just going to hit my three, turn around Steph Curry, and walk away from that one. And then and then
I know, right?
Hey, yo. And then my other play is going to be the Dodgers celebrations that they've been having after home runs. There's been some allegations that have popped out. We don't need to. We don't need to dive into anything. Let the boys get harmonious, will you? Just they're feeding into their juices. If they want to be a little vibrant, if they want to be a little bit different, if they want to lead into 2024, damn it, win a World Series and no one will talk about it again. So that is my play. That is my play. Is let the boys let them celebrate. Let them get a little crazy.
A lot of bat to bat skill.
A lot of bat to bat skill.
Heck yeah, baby. Let the boys celebrate. And that'll wrap up our Bencher Play segment. And we go on to worst or best tweet. Things we saw on the internet. What was the best? What was the worst? My best thing that I saw on the internet, I don't know if this is true, according to NBA Central, but LeBron was reportedly dropping $10,000 on DC to level up Bronny James. And somebody replied, yo, Bronny's going to be 61 overall. Let's fucking go.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's so bad.
So, yeah. And to that point, too, Bronny not looking too great so far. Heard he had like 4 turnovers in a basketball game and no points.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah. Welcome to the NBA, partner.
You're right. Josh, worst best tweet this week.
So I have a tweet from the Greenlight Pod, and it's of Action Bronson. It's the photo, the iconic photo of him going, "It's unnecessary. There's no reason for this." And it says London fans being forced to watch the Jags 2 weeks in a row. And yeah, Jags are a dumpster fire. And I have pack your bags here, GM Trent Baalke, Dougie B. Sorry, you can come back to Philly maybe, as long as you leave Press Taylor somewhere far in the ocean because he can pack his bags as well. Go try Canadian football. Obviously, handsome Carson Wentz should be benched. England, I'm sorry.
Go learn Canadian, buddy.
Yep.
I also thought of the same meme. Like the meme where like the lady's having like her eyes like peeled open.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a good one. Jake, worst or best tweet?
Well, on my side, I feel like I've dug into Utah a lot. So damn it, let's just do it again. I found a tweet, or I'm sorry, it was more of a post where Cam Rising, there's just multiple graphics that we need to talk about here. There's the injuries that have happened from 2020 to 2024 of him missing games. And then it's, again, the CFB shot of him in all red for him missing injuries. But then the best part is that there's another image to it, and it goes, "Let's get you to bed, Grandpa." And it's Cam Rising over to Grandpa with a walker. Dude, they're not even the best team in Utah anymore. Like, they're bad. Like, they're really, really damn bad. I don't know when ASU got good, but my big take is that Cam Rising should sign an NIL deal with a hospital because
Life
he kind
alert.
of needs it at this point.
Could you imagine Cam Rising pulling out his life alert right in the middle of the field? I can't get up.
Cam Rising brought to you by Uber Ambulance or whatever.
Right.
Oh
Uh,
man.
and that'll move us on to our bleacher rankings, top five NFL throwback jerseys. A lot of maybe a little bit of overlap, but that's because they're the best. So my number five, give me the 1980s New England Patriots red jerseys. With the Patriot with the football on the helmet. I think those are classic. You think of like the Super Bowl against the 85 Bears. And then I also think about Tom Brady and his long, luscious hair in like 2010 when they rolled out those AFL throwbacks. So I thought that was cool. Give me the Pats Reds at five. Jake.
I like it. My number five is get the Jaguars 90s teal, baby. You got the teal, you got the black, you got the gold. Immediately makes me think of David Garrard, maybe even a little Maurice Jones-Drew action in there.
Mark
Uh,
Brunell.
Mark Burnell in there. They're
Mhm.
too classic to not have on the list. Give me Jags 90s homes at my five.
Absolute fire. Josh.
And then my number five will be the Titans slash Oiler 80s home jersey. Fantastic logo. We talked about it heavily with our MLB list. We love the baby blues. Great jerseys.
Yeah, no, those jerseys are sick. I absolutely love those ones. For my number four, give me the Tampa Bay Creamsicles. Uh, that during that time frame, they were probably the worst football team in that stretch, but damn it, those uniforms look great on the
Did they
field.
look good though?
Um, I love the orange, I love the red, I love the eccentric pirate with the with this knife in his mouth giving you the wink. So give me the creamsicles at four.
I like it. At my four, I'm going with the Eagles, Kelly Green. I hate the Eagles, but it's too classic of a look to not have on the list. They're wearing them twice this year. One of those will be against the Cowboys, so we will see. But give me the Kelly Green at my four.
Oh yeah, very good. Very good. Jake just touched on them, but yeah, my four, the Jaguars mid 90s home jersey. The shoulders, obviously, Jaguar on the prowl. Just awesome. And I love a jersey with big old numbers. Bring them big numbers back.
Oh yeah, 90 style.
I'm
Mhm.
just so upset that like right around 2008 2009 they went away from that and they went to that super ugly gradient helmet like the gold and black when like Blake Bortles was playing
Oh,
for him. Those were so
Awful.
bad.
I kind of
Awful.
liked those.
Black sleeves and then the white base jersey. Just I don't know why they ever went away with
Oh
it. Just
yeah, no, not the white jerseys, but
yeah.
the teal jerseys with the like the dual colored helmet. I kind of liked them.
Did you? Oh, okay. On a certain day, I'm sure.
I'm a freak.
My number three, give me the Denver Orange Crush 1970s throwbacks. We had them recently last week with who did they play? Who did Patrick Surtain have that pick six against? Who was it last week? I'm blanking.
Raiders.
Uh, I think it was the Raiders. It was the
Yeah.
Raiders. Yes, it was the Raiders.
Oh,
I think it's sick. I think of Tom Jackson. I think of Steve Atwater just absolutely crushing somebody's skull into the field. Give me the Denver Orange Crush at three.
Well, at my three, Drew's already talked about them, but they're too nice and they're too sweet to not have on the list. So give me the Buccaneers creamsicle jerseys. It makes no sense that this is actually an NFL jersey, but damn it, I love them. Put them on the damn list. Creamsicles at three.
A young Mike Alstott, I believe, wore those jerseys before they transitioned. The A
Oh yeah.
Train.
Oh yeah.
Sick.
oh.
And I believe Warren Sapp even wore those jerseys at one point too. So don't sleep on the creamsicles.
Oh, a little nugget for you fans at home.
And that'll bring me to my number three. I'll be taking the Chicago Bears 70 navy blues. They're classic, they're clean. I love the orange striping on the sleeves. Yeah, and I love that more like toxic orange color. I think in the earlier 2000s they kind of tried to get that like more muted like burnt orange type or whatever. No. Bring that toxic orange in.
Bring back the toxic sludge orange, the caution traffic
Yeah.
cone.
Oh
Whatever
yeah.
happened? Whatever happened? Just giving some pop in some jerseys, huh? When did
Mhm,
that? When did all
mhm.
these like muted colors come a thing? I hate it. Like Kelly Greens, we have the Houston Oilers, the creamsicles. It's bring back the pop, NFL. That's all I gotta
Oh yeah.
say. My number two, give me the San Diego Chargers powder blue. When you think of those powder blues, you think of like Daniel Tomlinson hitting that hole,
Mhm.
going for 70-yard touchdown. Uh, even yeah, just I think of that's what I think of. I think of Philip Rivers, Antonio Gates, you name it, Sean Merriman, Luis Castillo. That's what I think of when I see those powder blues.
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll keep running along with it. My number two, I also have the Reds Patriots jerseys. They're Americana, they're classic. They've got the feel to them. I feel like any type of jersey that has like the old school logo actually on it just makes it just a little smidge better, you know? So again, we're rocking with the Reds Patriots jerseys. Apparently they're 9-3 all time when they've won those jerseys.
Oh.
So big winner energy apparently, and we'll be they did lose today in their red jerseys though, so they are now 9-4. So
Can we make a point to say that old Patriots logo so better than that weird alien looking current Pats logo? Is
I
that
Yeah.
fair to
believe that I
Yeah.
say?
believe they call him Flying Elvis is what
Uh,
the new version of that logo is.
Flying Elvis is way too cool of a name for that logo. It's not
I know,
deserved.
Should
I
fly
know.
into a dumpster.
That I would agree.
And that, that'll take me right into my number two, the opposite of that, which would be the Dolphins 70s home jerseys. I mean, there is a dolphin in a helmet. What is not to love?
Bob Greasy days. Apps.
Oh,
Jim Click, I think, was another Dolphins player legend.
that the absolute era of like just the football and the jerseys of that time were in South Florida, top tier.
Oh, I know it. Because I will piggyback off of that a decade later. The 1980s Miami Dolphins is my number one Miami Dolphins jerseys. You think of Dan Marino just slinging that rock up and down the gridiron. Just that logo is so perfect. Then the current logo for the Miami Dolphins is just so dilapidated and boring. Uh, I just gotta love that dolphin with the football helmet. I mean, just go back to it. Just do it. Stephen Ross, do it. I beg of you, do it now.
I respect it. There's a good grit and a good fire that comes from a dolphin in a helmet, you know. So we bring it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the
It's
team might need some of that juice back, honestly.
Every team that has a animal should literally be required to have that animal in the helmet as an alternate.
promoting safety. I mean, what more does the NFL want? Because the NFL loves having safety for its players, right?
Of course.
Absolutely. Not the
Yes.
chain gang though, or the ball collectors.
No.
No.
Will Levis is coming for you.
Right. Him and his
In
Mayo
your
and
nightmares.
him and his Mayo contract that he has.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
well, with my number one, I will be going with the Seattle Seahawks 90s home uniforms, the blue with the green trim, Steve Largent, aerial attack. That's just got the ultimate classic piece to it. I love how the fact that all of these jerseys, none of them are even close to a shade of what would be close to a actual jersey nowadays, right? Besides maybe the Patriots one, maybe the Kelly Green in some ways, but
Yeah. My
great
Chicago
times.
Navies.
Jake, you forgot about one of the most iconic people from that Seahawks jerseys.
Well, we
The
know that
Bombers.
Brian Bosworth, of course, baby. Come on.
Short-lived, but
Short-lived, but one of the most dominant college linebackers of all time.
iconic in those. Yes, I love another jersey with pop. I wish they would keep those permanent, but all I
Oh
gotta
yeah.
say.
And that'll take me to my number one, which will quite obviously be the Philadelphia Eagles Kelly Green jerseys. And gentlemen, you should watch your ears because just yes. All right,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Let us sizzle.
Not too shabby, not too shabby. Any honorable mentions you guys have? Any honorable mention jerseys, stuff like that?
Man, I was digging through some of them. The honestly, the first jersey that came to mind wasn't an NFL one. The Tulane baby blue ones. I don't know if you guys have
Yeah.
seen those before. Those are ooh, mm,
Maybe
mint.
the the Los Angeles Rams with their like bright yellow and bright blue, or this like Saint the not the greatest show
Yep.
on turf, maybe a few years before that.
They were a fringe.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably the big one will probably be the Falcons jerseys, whichever with the cool like black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll probably get a little smoked for that one, but
I was thinking more of the red helmets with the black jerseys. I like
yeah,
those
yeah,
ones too.
that like
Um,
classic, like yeah, the old Falcon design.
Maybe it's just me. I'm kind of privy to, I guess, some of the purple. So maybe either like the old school Vikings ones, or like maybe even
oh,
like some of
dude,
like
those are so good.
yeah, like the relatively, let's call it like the 2000s Ravens, like that Super Bowl era. Like I feel like those jerseys weren't like, again, shouldn't have been on the top five list of all time, but definitely some solid ones.
I think
I'm a
of
homer, and I definitely like the Eagles blue and yellows, but that's a homer take.
maybe a throwback to my old team when they had a different name.
Right.
I thought those jerseys were clean. Um, I think Patrick Willis, Frank Gore, the San Francisco 49er jerseys, that's just me.
Yeah.
Special to me. You guys probably don't think those are cool, but
I
No.
didn't get I was looking at a bunch of lists and I didn't get the like love for just like the 49ers, which it could just be like a purely like a football thing where it's like,
Right.
but I mean again, like I just like I don't care about it's safe for me. I just don't give a crap about the SEC, all that kind of historic bull crap like that. I don't care. So the same with the Niners, just yeah, it's boring.
I get it.
Put a guy up there with like a little pan getting for some gold and like talk to me.
absolutely. But that'll wrap up the top five, and that'll wrap up the show. Thank you for everybody tuning in and all the new viewers. Really appreciate it. Want to keep this momentum going. Want to provide you as much content as we can. Any closing thoughts before we sign off?
It's going to be a hell of a championship series here with the MLB folks. I've got Dodgers in 6. Josh, what do you got for Cleveland?
Oh, probably the Gardos in 7, or it won't be, and it'll break my heart. And still, I got Guardians Dodgers as a prop bet for them to meet in the World Series, and so I will be right in that one.
We will definitely we'll be on the edge of our seats waiting, but we appreciate you guys tuning in and being bros in the bleachers.
See you, adios.
And that'll be another episode. First.